What's up, Lowrider family? Welcome back to another episode of Lolos and More. Now today we're going to work on this Regal, and we're going to put in the new axle, and we're going to do a bridge. Whoever built the car didn't do the axle properly, so that made the homeboy go buy an axle. Unless he bought it before he knew that it was built wrong. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. And then, as you guys can probably tell, whoever cutting out the holes didn't even bother taking the rest of that flap out. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip out that little flap. The homeboy brought the car this morning, and he said that one of the solenoids are bad. So I'm gonna take those out and test it. I'll see which one's bad. Right now I'm seeing that this solenoid is loose from the rest of the two. It's loose at the coupling, so that might have a little bit to do with it, but probably not, since it was working anyways. And those solenoids are not even more than like three months old or 2 months old being used. So yeah, I got one I can give them. I'm selling it to them. And then, since we're putting in the bridge, the holes in the trunk, the holes that were made in the trunk, I'm going to make those wider. Because I don't know if you can really tell, but the holes are kind of widening at the top, because, you know, the writing on the edges. And next thing you know, the metal's gonna tear and it's gonna look ugly. So what should have been done is those holes should have been made wider, because those are always the ones that are gonna get tore up. So I'm gonna do that also. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna just finish taking out these solenoids. I'm gonna jack the car up on just on the rear, take the wheels off, and then we'll come back and I'll let you guys know what to take off to take the axle off. It's really not all that. It's not that much, really. It's maybe, let's see, four bolts, and 2 couplings for the brake lines, and then the e-brake lines. So it won't be that much, but we'll be right back as soon as I get this Regal up on the jack stands. Okay, we got the car jacked up. We got the wheels off. I took one brake drum off. It just slides right off. If it's a little hard, then tap it with a hammer. It'll loosen up and jiggle it, and it'll come right off. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we are actually going to I'm gonna take off the brake line first. That right there, see that line? Take off the nut. There's a nut right there. It stays with the brake line, so try not to break the brake line. If you do, don't worry about it. At AutoZone they sell a bunch of brake lines that you can form into the shape. They won't be shaped like this, you know, the way they run, but you can bend them easily. So if you try bending these older ones, and they will break. The ones that won't break so much. So take off that nut on the other brake drum. As you guys can see, another brake line. Take off that nut, and then there's some tabs like this one right here. Bend those tabs out on both sides of the axle, and then there's one tab on the other side of the axle, and then there's one nut. That nut right there, take that nut off, and the brakes are off completely on the axle. Next thing to do is the e-brakes. That's this line right here that runs down. That's the e-brakes, and this is why I took off the brake drum. So pretty much pay attention to the way the brake drum was put together. You know, take pictures, take video if you have to, of everything, the way it went together. think the homeboy was saying that his e-brakes don't even work anyways. But I think I might just go ahead and still put it in the way it was. I mean, I'll give him a call and see if he wants me just to hang these or rip them off or whatever. I don't know what he wants to do, but if he wants a high lockup, e-brakes need to go. And as you guys can see, that brake line right there, it's ripping, so he'll need a new brake line. But that's for the brakes so far. So yeah. Next thing to do to take the axle out will be undoing these nuts down here. It'll to remove the bottom and upper trailing arms, those right there, and these on both sides for complete. So just remove them off of the axle. You don't have to remove them off from the car. And then let's see, right here there's 4 bolts. Let me get closer. Let's see. You see right there? There's 2 bolts right here. You take those, take that one right there, and then take off that one, and then there's 2 more on the opposite side. Take the other 2 off, and it's 4 complete bolts. And all you do is take a pry bar or a long screwdriver in this gap right here, and the drive shaft will push forward and drop down. So that's pretty much it. And you don't have to try and remember how the axle went onto the yoke of the right here, because it just doesn't matter. The only thing that's balanced is the drive shaft. The drive shaft is balanced, as you can see that little tab. It's balanced from the factory. That way there's no vibrations when the car is driving. The balancing of this does not matter to the axle, so so that doesn't matter. So I'm gonna go ahead, take those 4 bolts off, undo these nuts and bolts off of the trailing arms, the lowers and the uppers, and take the brake lines off and the e-brakes off. E-brake right here, and we'll be right back. And there's really no special way of doing anything, so it's just pretty much unbolting, really. Right now, the only sophisticated part would be if you don't know brakes, then make sure you take pictures, video, or even look up videos on how to do brakes like these. So we will be right back. Alright, as you guys can tell, axle's out. Just like I said earlier, remove the 4 bolts holding the drive shaft to the axle, remove the brake line. So like I said earlier, the e-brakes don't work on the homeboy's car, so I just cut them off, and he said he's not gonna try and put another one on, because with hydros you can't lock up all the way if you have e-brakes anyways. So the brakes did come off perfect on this axle, so they're gonna go on great on that one. So I went ahead, I made the bridge. I'm ready to put it in. I got the inside of the axle of the frame ready. Grind it in the middle. So I even put little pieces of square tubing right there for the chain, since the axle that he bought already came with a chain. So oops, my bad. So yeah, let me align this bridge in there, and it's really just simple. And remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the Jimmy, I had issues getting the what's it called, the bridging. But like I was saying earlier, on G bodies and Cadillacs, just one cut and you're good. So yeah, I'm gonna make those holes bigger right there. I'm gonna make those bigger. So yeah, so it's all it is put this in place and weld it up. So I'm gonna go ahead, well, put like 1-inch welds on it to put into place, and then we'll be right back before I finish welding the entire thing in. Alright everybody, I got the axle in. All I gotta do is tightening up all the nuts and bolts of the trailing arms. That's all I gotta do. The brake lines are on completely. I need to bleed the brakes. I mean, it's all the easy part. That's what I gotta do. And the homeboy said cut square. So I'm like, okay. I never heard or seen anybody do square, but he wanted me to do a square. So yeah, now we gotta make the perch, that hole right there that you see. I need to make that wider so that the cylinder can go through. But what I noticed, oh, forgot the light. But what I noticed on this side, see that? The perch started to crack on this side. Not good. Next thing you know, cylinder's going through the rear windshield. But, you know, so once again, the homeboy wanted me to do square holes. I mean, sure, whatever. If he wants it, he wants it. So now what I'm going to do is widen up those holes on the perch itself. I might use a plasma cutter. And then we'll see what else from there. But yeah, axle's in pretty much completely. The shaft is on all the way. So let me cut out those holes on the perches a little bit wider. Run the cylinders in, and we'll be right back. Yeah, we'll be right back. So as you guys can tell, the Regal is gone. After that last part, it was pretty much easy stuff to finish up the Regal. And here's the old rear end right here. A tip, like what I was saying about, you know, about the trailing arms, just tightening them up, tightening up the 4 bolts that go in here to the drive shaft, and then bleeding the brakes. Once you got the brake line hooked up in there, you can put a small socket over this. I don't remember the size. I think it's 5/16. Don't quote me on that, but I put a socket on there. I had a homeboy in the car. He pumped the brakes 3 times and then held down the brake. And as he held down the brake, I opened up that valve, let it bleed out. If nothing came out, close it. Then you do the other side of the axle. Do the same thing. Pump it 3 times, hold the brake, open the valve, and then close the valve. And do it repeatedly until you see fluid coming out. And when you get fluid and not bubbles and suds or whatever, then you're good. And the brakes are bled. And then add some brake fluid to the master cylinder reservoir, and you're good. So the homeboy's idea with this one is gonna stay here in my garage. What we're gonna do with it is we're gonna beef it up. Sorry, I got the hiccups, but you can tell why the homeboy was not happy. He recently got his car done by the car club that he was prospecting in, and he was not happy with the club, with the stuff that they did to his car. Look at that. Not acceptable. Hell no. As you guys can still see, there's still a wire right there. That kind of means that the guy or whoever was welding from far. Ugly welds. Tell me about it. Ugly. And look, there's no weld right here. Really holding it down. Just embarrassing. And the homeboy that I'm helping out, he didn't know anything about how to put a lowrider together. Nothing. So I'm thinking he was taken advantage of, and in my opinion, he paid too much. I'm not gonna say how much, but he paid too much to get the job that he got done, and they didn't even put a bridge in. So that's why we did a bridge in this video. So yeah, homeboy's happy with what he got, what we did in the video, bridge and stuff like that, replacing the rear end. Yeah, so what we're gonna do on this one is, like around November, I'm gonna cut these power balls off. We're gonna save the power balls. I'm gonna put 3-inch U channel, C channel, whatever you want to call it, from about as close as to the brake drum that I can get, and it'll lay right over this part right here. It'll lay there, and then we'll use some flat bar, and then we'll use some tubing, and then we'll use some not half inch, 1/4 inch, maybe something in between those two measurements, and reinforce the bottom, and then close it off. That way it looks solid. So we'll do that, and then I'll also reinforce the ears like I did on that last, like on the rear end we put on the homeboy's car. I'm gonna go ahead, reinforce the ears, reinforce this area, because I don't know if you guys remember, but in that one video of the rear end that we put in, there's like a bunch of weld here and here, over here, not doing anything. So I'll reinforce it properly in this area and the bottom, not putting just weld on top of weld on top of weld. No, that's not the proper way. So that closes off this video. Hopefully it kind of helps you guys out, have a better idea of doing a bridge, and better idea that it's actually easy to swap out axles. So yeah, hopefully you guys liked the video. If you guys did, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and comment down below what you guys want to see next and stuff like that. So yeah, really. Next video I do is probably going to be like tips, maintenance and tips. We're not going to do any maintenance. I'm just going to point out some stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, one more thing. I'm hosting a cruise this Sunday, September 2nd, in southeast Portland. So as you guys can see on the flyer, you'll have all the info. So hopefully see you there. If you can't, it's all good. Maybe next year. I do one every year for the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years. But yeah, peace.